This here is Grace Hopper, one of the most important people in early computing. She labeled the first actual computer bug, and she made it possible for people without high-level math skills to interface with and write computer programs. She got her PhD in mathematics from Yale in 1934 and was the first woman and one of the first people altogether to get a PhD in math from Yale. She had a history of military service and tried to join the Navy during World War II, but at first was rejected because she was too old at the age of 34. Next time she tried to get in, she was denied because she was too small. She was 5'6" and 105 pounds and was considered underweight for her height. But she finally got into the Women's Reserve and started working with this beast of a computer called Harvard's Mark I. It was 51 feet in length, 8 feet tall, and weighed almost 10,000 pounds. One time she was working with that machine's successor, Mark II, but it wasn't working right. And a coworker found an actual moth in the relay that was making it dysfunctional. So they taped it to the logbook and labeled it the first actual case of a bug being found, and this paper now sits in the Smithsonian. And so the Queen of Code, as she's called, popularized the term debugging for computers. The thing that makes her super important in computer science, though, is she invented compilers, or English-like computer languages. At the time, those big old computers were using machine code, and you basically had to be a mathematician to write machine code. So she was like, what if you could write out what you want in an English-like code, and the computer could translate it into machine code? At first the idea got pshawed. They were like, duh, computers don't speak English. But she plowed ahead anyway because most people don't speak machine code and she wanted computer programming to be more accessible. And her compiler COBOL is still heavily used in data processing. Another thing I love about her is she was a great science communicator. A famous thing she would do is she would pass out a piece of wire that was just under a foot long to demonstrate a light nanosecond. That's how far light travels in a billionth of a second. She retired like 3 times, but the Navy kept calling her back because she was such a boss. When she finally actually retired for real at the age of 79, she was the oldest active duty commissioned officer in the United States Navy.